Huh? What are you doing in my swamp?
Hello everybody, this is Overboy and I'm going to be doing my review for the 1997 movie Batman and Robin. So this is the second movie that Joel Schumacher directed in the Batman franchise, and it's technically the fourth movie in the franchise, although they're kind of retconning this one and Batman Forever here pretty soon when Michael Keaton returns in The Flash. But in this one, Batman and Robin team up with Batgirl to take on Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. And Mr. Freeze is wanting to freeze all of Gotham and eventually freeze the world. So they're having to stop him. And there's a little subplot going on that Alfred is dying from this rare disease that Mr. Freeze happens to know how to cure. It's crazy. This movie is weird. It's widely considered to be one of the worst comic book movies of all time. And while I definitely wouldn't say it's one of the best, there are way worse movies out there than this. Especially in recent years, like we've been getting so many comic book movies over the years. There's been quite a few that have tried to attempt to be better or stuff because of other movies and everything. This one just isn't near as bad as everyone says it is. It is pretty much a toy commercial though. This movie was mainly made to sell toys, just like with Batman Forever, except they really upped the ante on it with adding the vehicles for Robin and Batgirl and all the different little suits and stuff and the different villains and everything. You could tell this movie was made to sell toys, but it has its moments. There are some things I like about it, especially like Arnold Schwarzenegger as Mr. Freeze. Even though maybe he's not the most comic accurate, I don't know for sure. I don't really know a lot about Mr. Freeze, but I do think he was good in here, even though he's mostly just throwing off ice puns throughout the movie. But as somebody who loves puns and loves Arnold Schwarzenegger, it doesn't bother me and everything. I think he's fine. He's one of the things that makes the movie as watchable as it is. And I think Uma Thurman was really good as Poison Ivy. I think she fit the role really well, and would have been even better if the movie would have been written better. But for what it is, I think she does a decent enough job and everything. Although it's crazy that it's like the third Batman movie in a row that they have to just have a female character in there to be over-sexualized and stuff, because they did that with Catwoman and Dr. Chase Meridian, who's not even mentioned at all in this movie. It's like, what's up with that, too? Like, they don't mention her at all. But I think this is an okay movie. It has some really terrible CGI in here, though. It's aged very terribly, which kind of expected it. It came out in the late 90s, so CGI back then was not the best and everything. CGI now isn't the best, but it really has dated this movie a lot. It's, especially in certain scenes. And there's like one part when they're jumping off the building and stuff, and it looks like kind of looks like a music video from back in that time period and everything. Like the way the CGI looks reminds me of like stuff you would have seen in a Backstreet Boys music video back then. But I will say the cast is, for the most part, decent. Like I said, Arnold Schwarzenegger and Uma Thurman really steal the show when they're on screen, and I really like them and everything. And I think I kind of like Alicia Silverstone as Alfred's niece, becomes Batgirl. I think she's fine. And Chris O'Donnell is fine for what he is, but Robin is just really annoying in this movie. Like, throughout the whole movie, he's just fighting with Batman because Poison Ivy just turns him on so much, and it just, he gets annoying throughout the movie. The bickering between him and Batman kind of gets on my nerves a little bit. One of the big problems I had with another superhero movie from last year, that was too much bickering and trying to be funny and stuff. And this movie is really campy. They really tried to up the campiness from Batman Forever and everything, and it does and doesn't work. Like if you're in the right mood, you might be able to enjoy it. I usually enjoy it when I watch it, because I don't watch it very often. It's one of my least favorite Batman movies. Like most people, I'd say it's one of my least favorites. I don't think it's near as bad as a lot of people say it is. Like, it's watchable, it just isn't very good. And it's worth watching mostly if, most time, the only time I'm really watch it is if I'm binge watching the Batman movies, or doing a Arnold Schwarzenegger binge watching throughout his filmography. Sometimes I'll watch it then, but it's not one that I want to rewatch very often, because it's not very great. And my biggest problem with it, though, out of anything aside from this crappy CGI, is Batman himself. George Clooney just phones it in through the whole movie. You can tell he's not very into it, and he's even apologized multiple times for doing this movie since it came out. There's, like, you can see him on different interviews, and he'll just apologize for doing this movie because he regretted doing it so bad and everything. And George Clooney is a really great actor. Like, he's been in some really great movies and everything, but this movie, he got lucky. It could have ruined his career. I mean, he was lucky. I think ER helped save him. I don't know, but this movie was just not very great. It could have been worse, could have been better. It's just mediocre as heck. I wouldn't even say that it's a piece of garbage like some people say. Like, there are way worse movies out there, that both from DC and Marvel, that are way worse comic book movies than this. So I just think it's okay. So I'd give Batman and Robin I'd give it a 5 out of 10. I think that's fair enough for the movie. I do like the costumes and stuff, like, well, except for the bat nipples. I think that was kind of dumb in the way they make their butts look and stuff, but I do kind of like their costumes and everything. But I more like the makeup and costumes on Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy and everything. I think Batgirl and Robin's costumes are pretty cool, and like I said, it's an okay movie. It just isn't very great. It's not the worst thing out there, but it definitely isn't one of my favorite Batman movies. It's one of my least favorites, if not my least favorite. But I think it's okay, and part of the reason I think I like it as much as I do could play with nostalgia, because I did watch this one some as a kid. Not near as much as I did the Batman Forever, but I did think this one was okay. And for someone who grew up when this movie came out and everything, if you're the right age, you can enjoy it. It's kind of like with the Star Wars prequels. If you were a certain age when the movie came out, you probably have nostalgia for it and enjoy it and everything. I don't think this is a good movie or a great movie, but it's a okay time, and it has some fun moments. So anyway, let me know in the comments what you think of Batman and Robin, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and have a good day, everybody.